Okay, so why is it that I'm gonna say leftists. I'm gonna say leftist women have a really hard time with tapping out. You know,
Well-
when you catch them in something, like here I'm saying a thing.
It's a
I'm gonna
pretty
now prove.
universal woman behavior,
Yeah,
and you just couple it with like politics that don't allow you to do it. It gets out of control.
we're dead. If any women are watching, just torch us in the comments. We'll be okay with that. All right, I'm gonna play this video here. Just get ready to be a little bit irritated because this video is a little irritating. Here we go.
Andrew,
Why is it a bad thing that we came over here and took land from the Native Americans and replaced their population? Why is that bad?
Well, because we killed millions of people and caused
No,
significant
well,
amounts
no,
of
no.
suffering.
Actually,
it was human suffering. It was genocide.
Actually, most
I mean,
of
what do you-
hang on,
like,
most of
what do
what
you mean,
killed
why is genocide bad?
most of what killed Native Americans was not genocide; it was disease.
The Trail of Tears killed millions of people.
Okay, that
Millions.
actually no, the Trail of Tears didn't kill millions of people.
Yes, it did.
How many millions do you think died in the Trail of Tears?
Let's Google it.
Google it.
All right.
how many,
How many
millions?
millions died at the Trail of Tears?
0.006.
It says an estimated 4,000 out of 16,000 Cherokee people.
Look, she puts her
were
phone
forced
away
to
real quick
relocate.
because she realizes she gets the answer wrong.
How many millions?
It says estimate that 6,000 men, women, and children die on the 1,200-mile march called the Trail of Tears, Cherokee.
Okay.
So is 6,000 anywhere close to millions?
So let's just leave
and
colonization.
millions.
Hold on a second. Let's stop there for a second. Notice how she says nothing about that. Watch how she just blazes past that point.
Mm-hmm.
She makes this very strong point to say that this specific thing killed millions of people. He contests it. She challenges to look on Google. They execute all that. You can see that she's now like putting her phone away because she didn't get the answer she wanted. And then she just blows past it. Here we go.
How many Native American people were killed from colonization? Can you Google that one for me?
Yeah, disease.
How many Native
How many
no,
were
no,
killed
no.
by disease?
How many
So now she
Millions
asks a different question.
killed by...
Colonization.
Yeah, just keep moving them.
It's a millions of people.
No, disease
It's a
killed
millions
them.
of people.
Disease killed the overwhelming amount of
You
Native
know that
Americans.
we used chemical warfare, or not we.
Oh, we did, huh? So we didn't understand anything about how diseases worked, but we were able to use diseases for chemical warfare, huh?
What do you mean we didn't understand?
Yeah.
how disease
When
worked?
do
I
you
never said
think?
that.
When do you think we understood the disease process?
You know that smallpox blankets that were infected with smallpox,
Total
were
myth.
given and
talking
gifted.
about like 400
How
years ago.
not?
How? do
No,
you-
the fuck it's not.
And
Okay,
he's right.
let me ask
That
you a
was
question.
a myth. That's something
You
they
get
say,
sick,
but it's not-
and you
it's
don't
not
understand
true.
how the
There's
disease
no
process
evidence
works
that
because
happens at
science
all.
hasn't discovered it
I mean,
yet.
like smallpox
And then you
was spread
hand
by
a blanket that sick
tetanus
people
or-
have used to
Yeah.
another person, not
Will
understanding
you fact
there's...
check that one too, Brian?
Check it.
Yes.
Which one?
Okay, wait.
Smallpox-
First of all, how many millions were
Check
killed
the
in
smallpox
colonization?
myth.
Get that one first.
In the United States, in North
the
America,
US.
or the
In North
entire
America.
Americas?
Ooh, actually,
including-
if we did it,
You're just goalpost shifting.
I mean, but that's not true. I
Well,
said
you
millions
said-
of
you
people.
said- actually, that one, that's
died
good.
during
Yeah,
the
that
Trail
was not
of
better.
Tears.
Okay.
Stop lying.
All right, then let's include all
Holy
the
shit, stop lying. And also, check. All you have
But
to
the
do
whole
is
point
check
that
the
you said is
disease.
that Native Americans
All you
were
have to
killed.
do is check the disease rates. It was 80 to 90%
doing
of
a
all
thing
natives
to
died from
rub my
diseases.
head.
And by the way, the
question that
smallpox
you were
blankets.
asking-
The smallpox blankets happened hundreds of
Andrew,
years after
calm down.
colonization.
Calm down. The question
The
that you were
smallpox
asking.
blankets happened hundreds of years post colonization.
The question that
Hundreds.
you were
Yelling.
asking,
Calm down.
let's
I'm
fact check
wrong.
Don't
that.
have to
But
yell.
while you're doing that, the question that you were asking is, was the colonization of the Americas
Mm-hmm.
bad? And I'm saying, yes, it was, because it resulted in the deaths of millions of people.
Got it. So if the outcome, and that would be a negative outcome, right?
Yes.
So
Oh
if
my
Jap-
God, why is my
if
camera
Japan
going?
if Japan wants to keep itself Japanese, is that negative?
For what purpose?
Because they just want to be Japanese
How are they doing that?
by not letting in any immigrants.
Are immigrants coming into their country and are they detaining them in cages?
Very,
No?
very few are ever allowed to come in. Yes, very few.
They have a closed
I mean, if they're
border.
not physically hurting or
stop
endangering
you at
those
the
people,
border.
then I wouldn't
They
say
say
that's
turn
necessarily
around.
a negative. But I think it depends on the outcome for
They're
the
very
Japanese
strict on that.
population.
So if
as
the
well.
Japanese,
Very, very hard to get in.
let's just say that
They'll
they
allow you
only
for a few
wanted their
weeks
domestic
and
population to be
everything, but
Japanese,
that's
there's nothing
it. You
inherently
gotta
wrong with
leave.
that.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. It was a couple of years ago.
Can I
PewDiePie
answer the
was trying to go to Japan, and this is a guy who's like unbelievably wealthy. He got all the resources in the world. He's going to bring that to your country, and he had a very hard time getting permission to live there.
Yeah.
I think he did get in eventually, but it's not easy.
I like what Joe said. I knew she would bring up the blankets.
Yeah, they're predictable
Yeah.
because it's these fucking talking
These
points.
little talking points they
Like,
hear.
it's just propaganda. They've been fed it over and over again, so they're just going to regurgitate it every time because, like, to them, it's true, right? Where did that come from? If you repeat a lie, enough times, it becomes the truth,
Right.
Or it doesn't make a difference.
What I hate about it, like I said, it's
Where does
she's
that come from?
just
Is that
proved-
from Orwell or somewhere else?
I don't know. You know, I know the saying,
Yeah,
but
like
I
it's
don't know
from
where it
something.
actually came.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be George Orwell.
It might be from Orwell, but
But that's what the worst thing for me is that, she challenged. So she sets up the parameters, right? She's like, here's the statement. Here's what I'm saying. He challenges the statement. And he's like, we can Google it. She's like, yeah, let's Google it. Okay, so they've accepted now, that they're going to Google this thing. They Google it. They find the answer she doesn't want that doesn't support her argument in any way. So then she just shuts down that one. She doesn't acknowledge it and say, hey, okay, you know what? Yeah, fair. I was wrong there. I maybe I was mixing something up with another thing. I'm not sure, but obviously I was wrong there. So, okay. And then move on to your next point. Say, okay, well, millions for this. And then he dispels that with disease. So it's the aggravating thing to me is that you're just fighting a donkey. You're just like, she's just sitting there and like
basically,
like you can't get anything through because she doesn't want to listen. She doesn't want to be wrong. Two people that debate when they're actually debating something and they want to, get to the bottom of something, both have an idea. If they're doing it in good faith, then they will actually listen. Like if we can both agree to say, okay, we're going to check Google.
This is actually really interesting because this was that comes from Joseph Goebbels.
Oh, okay.
And
that's funny.
It's based on like real psychological experiments that they figured out.
Wow.
Like so, it's not just a
on the
saying.
Jews.
Probably some.
Thank you, the Jews.
But it's a psychological experiment. I'm not going to read through the whole article here explaining it, but I didn't realize that like it's not just a saying that rings true.
Yeah.
It's something that came from. They figured it out. Like if you repeat a lie enough times, eventually it just becomes true to somebody, to anybody, or to people. And
well,
they figured out how to use that.
You can see it with you can see it with many things like the real classic one that's used a lot is the good people on both sides. That one. Yeah. That one's so poignant for now, like because it still survives, which
People
is
still say
crazy that it
People still
survives
say
after. So it like
despite it being so demonstrably false, you
But
can just play the clip.
Well, the problem is that Obama regurgitated it.
Yeah,
like
recently,
fairly recently. No, but fairly recently
during the election.
Yeah.
Kamala did.
Yeah.
In the debates.
So that, and you talk about irresponsibility, like a president, especially a president like Obama, who is revered as one of the best, like whether he is or not, which I don't think he was, but whether you think he's one of the best presidents or not, he's one of the best statesmen for sure. He was very polished, and he wasn't as divisive as politics and culture was during his time, but he wasn't the one that seemed to be the divisive one. If you know what I'm saying when I say that.
Yeah.
Like he seemed like the adult in the room, even when he's doing things in his politics.
I would argue that was the propaganda though. They wanted you to see that, so that's
perhaps
what they showed you, right?
Perhaps, but I'm just saying his demeanor is that, right? Like his demeanor seems to be that. So he goes.
Yeah, I was saying I think that's deliberate because I think what happened is Obama is at the end of when they kind of stopped being able to get away with it, but also it was before it was over because the internet was still 2008, like it's very early internet, like it's not. It wasn't anywhere close to where it is today.
Sure. Yeah.
So they still had that power, but throughout that presidency, they were losing that power while also trying to ramp it up. They were trying to do it harder than they've ever done it before. And that's how you had this whiplash to fucking Trump.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
This just say nothing about Trump like as a character. He's just a guy that was famous on TV who came along and it's like, we got to do something different here. And everyone's like, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing the same thing. You vote for Hillary Clinton, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
And so they go for him. That's the only reason that Trump won is because people didn't want the establishment.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's like an interesting period in time where it was starting, but it wasn't over.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of over because now everybody sees through all their bullshit. You know?
Like I said, it's so what's the word I'm looking for? it's really it's bad and powerful that someone like Obama is perpetuating that lie
Yes.
for that long. It like really, because it's evil in the way that he's using credibility that he has on both sides.
I think what
Essentially,
makes it evil is that he knows. There's
Yeah.
no
Oh,
chance.
he knows
there's
100%.
No chance Obama
Yeah.
doesn't know that that's a lie. And
Of
a
course.
talking point.
and that's what's evil about it.
It's being used strategically.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it. That's like the defining characteristic of it that makes it evil.
Right. I like what Robert said here. Reasons lost on leftists. I
Yeah.
agree. All right, let me